Hey guys, Tyler Erzberger here with ESPN Esports. Today we bring you a special interview with the captain himself of 100 Thieves, the man who has taken Valorant by storm on Twitch. Hiko, you have been doing amazing on Twitch. You are now the captain of 100 Thieves. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing well, doing well. Just got off a nice 8-hour stream and now I'm here to stream again.
How do you stream so early? Like, you literally stream at 8 a.m., where in esports time is like 2 a.m. How do you wake up so early and stream at such early hours?
I've always been that way. I've always woken up. There was a time in my life, a period way long ago, back when kids were carrying their books through slow, walking to school for miles. Anyway, I digress. Um, I used to have a really bad sleep schedule. I'd sleep until 3, 4 p.m. and I just hated it. I hated the feeling of going to sleep when the sun is, when it's literally sunny from the morning
Yeah.
and then waking up when it's already getting dark. It's just like my days and nights just get completely messed up. So for the longest time, I've kept a really good sleep schedule. Go to sleep by like midnight, 1 a.m. at the latest. Wake up at 9 a.m., sometimes 8 a.m. every morning. So been
Good
very
example. Good example for the youth.
there. You go. Exactly.
So 100 Thieves, captain of 100 Thieves, we have to talk a little bit about that because during the early beta tournaments, including our own ESPN Invitational, you were playing, Ska, Brax, and there's discussion. There was a lot of discussion of where you were going to go. Would you go pro? Going to stay as a content creator? There were teams that were after you. What was it about the 100 Thieves that made you, sign on the dotted line?
Um, I talked to a lot of different organizations. I definitely had my pick. I think ultimately it came to a sense of goals. I think 100 Thieves and my goals are the most aligned compared to some other organizations. Some organizations told me that they want to build, more of a popular team instead of a winning team. They want the streamers, they want the big personalities, they want the big brands. And like that's cool, but I think my career and everything has been focused on winning and focused on fielding the best team that I can and focused on building the best team that I can. So I think it was almost a no-brainer that 100 Thieves was kind of my first choice once I started, talking to them and talking to the people that would be working with me directly. Those people I get along with very well. I've known them for a long time and they have a very high reputation. So it was pretty easy choice, honestly.
So right now in the NA landscape, teams are coming together at light speed. Sentinels, Immortals announces soon today to make their 5-stack T1 of Skadoodle. So there's a lot of talent being, scooped up. A lot of the more known talent, at least the Counter Strike players that are transferring over to Valorant. What are you looking for your team? Obviously, I know you're not going to give us names. You're not going to drop some hints for us, but what type of players are you looking for towards or for to build this 100 Thieves roster out?
I think, and this might be a surprise to many, that it's not just focused on Counter-Strike players.
Mm,
I think a lot of people expect me to go for, or us as 100
mm,
Thieves to go for only Counter-Strike players.
mm.
But I think just digressing for a second, I think CS players were very far ahead early on in the game, especially in the beta. The CS players were leaps and bounds ahead of all the other games. And I think over the past month of through the closing of the beta into the game being released, I think a lot of the teams and a lot of the players of different the professionals from different games have caught up very fast, like alarmingly fast. They probably don't have the mechanical skills or the the fundamentals that a lot of the Counter-Strike players have worked on for years. But I think they've caught up at a rate that is surprising to a lot of the Counter-Strike players. So with that being said, my point is just I'm not only looking at Counter-Strike players, and the goal for 100 Thieves and for myself is still going to be to build a winning team, whether that's you know Fortnite players turn out to be the best, or Overwatch players, or PUBG, or Apex Legends, whatever it is. Like I don't think anything's off the table, and I don't think we're limiting ourselves to only one other game.
Was there a player that didn't come from a CS background that really impressed you during either the beta or early on so far in the full release?
I actually think Corey. The first time I played against Corey, that dude owned me. I thought he was cheating. I like, wait, who's Corey? Is he just is he stream sniping me? Like, what's
No.
going on here? So I think Corey has been one of the most impressive players to me that hasn't came from
Mm.
Counter-Strike. And yeah, it's crazy to see how some players from games that aren't even similarly related to Counter-Strike or how they're able to pick up a game like Valorant so fast.
Speaking a little about, streaming and stream sniping and all that, your stream has blown up. I think for me, when I came to Valorant, my thought was, who's going to get the bump, right? There's always there's, 1, 2, 3 people who really go from, a few hundred viewers, 1,000 streamers to really just lighting up and just being number one on top of the big, title on Twitch. And that's you. I mean, you've gone from about 1K, 2K to 15 to 20. You even had over 35,000 during the Twitch Rivals event playing with the Gen G core. How has it been just seeing your numbers just skyrocket in the last month or so?
It's been insane. I mean, even just through the beta, my numbers were way higher than what they were from Counter-Strike. So, I have a lot of fans and I have a lot of people that like watching me, and I'm very consistent with, the content I provide and the hours that I stream. So I think that, the sudden rise of my stream has benefited me a lot, especially outside of just like monetarily. Like obviously that's great.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of forced me to find a new love for streaming. Streaming got kind of dull and maybe not as fun or not as satisfying or fulfilling that I thought it would be through Counter-Strike. So it kind of re-sparked that fire, and it's forcing me to play the game just for hours and hours and hours a day. I'm practicing the game. I stream for what, almost 8 hours a day plus scrims or practice or theory after that. So I'm playing the game for 11, 12 hours a day every day, 7 days a week. I don't even take a day off. So yeah, I can only attribute that to obviously my stream and 100 Thieves being really supportive of me, and just the Valorant itself just really just bumps all that up.
Do you foresee yourself changing your streaming hours when you do build that team out, you are running your 5-man practices, or do you want to keep that daily schedule even for the fans who are more casual? They want to see Hiko playing solo queue or unrated, or want to see you as a streamer as well as a pro player. Are you going to keep up those streaming hours if possible?
The short answer is yes.
Yeah.
The long answer is I will be moving to LA eventually. I'm Eastern time zone right now, so being on PST is definitely would make keeping my exact schedule a lot harder. I'm about to be waking up at what, like 6 in the morning every morning. So I probably won't realistically be keeping my same hours. But I mean, if you look in my past, like back when I was on like Cloud9 for CS, I was able to stream for 4, 5, sometimes 6 hours a day going to practice and not feel burnt out. So I feel like something like that would probably be the goal for my stream. Realistically, I'm not going to be able to stream 8 hours a day and then go into practice every day, 7 days a week. It's just not going to be. It's just not going to happen like that. So I am cognitive to me changing my stream schedule. I'm just trying to think of like, the transition into when that actually happens. When I do end up moving, when we do have a team and we're actually practicing, a lot of hours, and we have matches and we have tournaments and we have to travel, like all that stuff is taking into effect. But yeah, I definitely want to shoot as much as I can.
I want to bring up some comments that someone very well has made. Shroud, who is streaming on Mixer, not on Twitch anymore, playing a lot of Valorant, enjoying the game, but he did make some comments that he does feel like the game is dumbed down for a more casual audience, and that the skill ceiling is much lower when compared to Counter-Strike. I just want to get your thoughts as someone who has been playing Counter-Strike forever, one of the top pros from North America for years on years. What is your opinion on those statements? Like, do you feel like it is a dumbed down game when it comes compared to other shooters or specifically Counter-Strike? And do you feel like the skill ceiling is lower than the highest skill ceiling in CS:GO?
So I think that Valorant and Counter-Strike are two completely different games. I think that mechanically, I think I agree with Shroud to some extent, where Counter-Strike is more about everybody having the same utility at their disposal. You have to decide what utility you want to buy, but for the most part, it's pretty much, two flashes of smoke and a Molotov. Um, Strategy, I mean, maps and Counter-Strike have been out forever. People have been playing. I've been playing Dust 2 since before probably people have been born watching this interview. Dust
Yeah.
1 has been around since the early 2000s. So, you know, as far as mechanical skills go, I think that Counter-Strike does have a higher ceiling as far as
Mm,
being like your individual clicking
mm,
mouse, getting headshots, having good peaks, having good movement. Like I think Counter-Strike does have a higher skill ceiling with that regard, but I
mm,
think Valorant is different in the sense that there's so much more thinking you have to do. There's so much more strategy you have to actually think about. Think about like a team running a Brimstone compared to a team running a Viper or a team,
mm,
choosing to not run a Cypher, but instead run, Reyna or Raze, whoever it might be. Um, I actually think that in the long term, we will see some really insane tactical strategy from Valorant. I think it'll be even more creative than Counter-Strike is, just because it's a new game and just because there's so many abilities and there's so many weird synergies that people don't even realize, and even the pros don't even realize yet. So I think that I think the fact that there's so many different agents and there's still apparently new agents coming, and we still only have 4 maps, so who even knows what the new quirks of all the other whatever new maps will come out. I think that long term, Valorant will reward people that are playing smarter and thinking more of the game. Whereas it seems like recently in Counter Strike, it rewards the younger run around, try to get kills, run through your smoke, get catch them off guard on a timing.
mm,
So that's my thoughts on that.
mm. You were talking a little about running Viper, and you brought up your stream yesterday that I tweeted out. No one played Viper during North American Twitch Rivals. I know in Europe, Mixwell did play the agent to some success, but in NA, no one ran it. Even the teams that weren't running Sage, who were playing for fun, like the Xavier Woods WWE team, didn't pick up Viper. No one picked her. But you said that you feel like she's being underutilized, that she's not actually as weak as some people are making her out to be. Can you, go in on that a bit and just kind of explain why you believe that Viper is kind of underrated at the moment?
Yeah, I think that Viper has a very unique playstyle and to make Viper have the most success and the most relevance to a team, in my opinion, you really need set strategies and you really need really set executes where you know exactly what is smoked off, you know exactly what is walled off, you know where your snake bites, you have specific alt spots where you're ulting from a exact pixel maybe where there's like a little corner out in the side where you probably win a free clutch, things like that. Um I think that a lot of the teams, at least if we're talking about North America right now, um, I don't think a lot of these teams are very organized. I know they're practicing a lot, and watching the Twitch rivals thing and scrimming against some teams, it feels like I hope it doesn't turn into what Counter Strike was early on, where America tactically was just so far behind EU. And I think something that my goal is for whatever team I do end up, we do end up picking up for 100 Thieves, I want to have a team that is tactically sound. I don't want to be a meme of NA strat, NA, I don't
Yeah.
want that to be a meme in Valorant. It's already a meme in every other esport.
Yeah,
What if
true.
we break the mold here and we're the EU people, What
Mm,
if they're like, "Oh, EU gameplay for once,"
mm,
So as far as that's concerned, I do think that I can see Viper working out. I think that there's potential to drop a Brimstone from a lineup eventually and run a Viper. But I think if we're talking like high level tactics right now, there's too many ops in the game, and there's not enough utility to block oppers. So that's like the main problem right now. That's with the scene or with the lack of utility.
How important do you think in-game leaders are going to be in Valorant? Obviously, you were talking about how there's so many things going on. Do you think it's going to be essential for teams to have a single shot caller, or at least have a leading voice on a team to be successful in the long run?
I think it's going to be less important in a game like Valorant than it will CS because you have very specific utility at your fingertips that you know I don't really, for instance, I don't play Sova that much, but if there's
Mm,
if I
mm,
play with somebody who's really good with Sova and they know exactly all the airs, they know all the lineups, I think that individually you are required a lot more of specific agents in this game than you are of
mm.
Counter-Strike. I mean, like I said, no matter what you do in Counter-Strike, the mechanics are always the same. The utility you have to use is always the same. The maps are always the same. There's really no new maps that come out in Counter-Strike anymore. The tactics are all kind of recycled. The players are all recycled. So I think that in Valorant right now, players are trying to pick an agent or two or three or however many to like main, and they want to learn all the lineups, all the smokes, how to use them effectively. And I think that a lot of strategy is going to be revolved around people with certain agents making calls and making plays with, Sova Arrow or Sova Drone or Omen Teleport or things like that.
Two more questions to close out this interview. First off, I want you to, talk to chat here. The plebs in chat, the irons, the silvers, the golds, who want to climb when rank comes out, hopefully next week, maybe late this week, hopefully we get ranked back very soon. For these people who want to climb up, who want to get to the plat, who want to get to Immortal, who want to get to whatever Valorant's going to be called when it's renamed, because thankfully they're renaming it. What tips would you give them going into ranked when it comes back up? What kind of tips or guides would you say they need to take to actually climb up the ladder?
It's my least favorite question that I get on a daily basis.
Hey man, I had to ask it.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I'll answer. I think there are some things that you can do to be a good teammate. Don't tilt, don't be toxic, don't yell because you have a girl on your team, don't do things that are overly aggressive, be understanding, be forgiving. And the big one I'm going to say is don't be an insta locker. I feel like
Mm,
the people that I get into games even in unrated where there's people that insta lock Jet, Reyna, and Omen, and it's like, well,
okay.
what are we supposed to do? Like, great, we'll fill with like a Sage and like a Cypher, but it's like our team is just so bad. So I think that like be mindful of what meta agents are and what essentially useless agents are. Like for instance, Reyna. Don't play Reyna in ranked. Um, and just try to have a positive mental attitude. Positive mental attitude. That's that. There you go.
That works. See, even the question you don't like, you still gave a very good answer. So I'm going to give
Okay.
you
Thank
credit
you.
on that.
Okay.
Final question to end it off. I know the devs have been, consuming all types of media. When a player speaks in an interview, they tend to listen. The dev team has been very good on listening to feedback. So I'm giving you the floor here. I know Anna Donlin, Joseph Ziegler, they'll be watching this. So if you could, talk to those two people and the rest of the Valorant dev team, what's the number one fix right now that you want in the game that they can do to make your experience and everyone else's experience in Valorant much more smooth?
So easy. The answer is so easy. Give us the deathmatch mode that we can get into while we are in queue. I want to be able to play the game while in queue. There are days I sit on stream where I'll be in queue for literally 45 minutes. Let me go in the range. Maybe make a deathmatch. Like, let me do something. Don't let me just sit there listening to the music and listen to Rivington just read me Harry Potter. That's literally that's what it came down to now. This guy literally reads Harry Potter to my stream while we're just sitting there waiting. Like, why can't I just play? Let me go warm up my aim.
Fair answer. I'm sure the developers this will be clipped and shipped to the developers very soon. I know they're hoping to build a deathmatch mode. Maybe this will make them do it a little bit sooner. Hiko, I want to thank you for taking your time out of this busy schedule to do this interview. And if you want more news and notes from ESPN Esports all about the world of Valorant, check us out at espn.com/esports.